I came fairly late to education, you could say, but that being said, it's my 20th year, so not so late. Uh, I'm a math teacher, so as I have a BA or BSc in mathematics. I've also taken a course in andragogy. To be simple, that means adult education. Not just a course, actually, a whole program at University of Quebec. So it was ten courses. But that's my official qualifications. Everybody's got their official qualifications, but doesn't qualify you that much to be a teacher. A teacher is something that it's innate in you. It's a passion, and if you have official qualifications, it might go well for a couple of years. You might be competent, but you won't like it. You'll feel it's too demanding. It's not well recompensed, and you'll probably leave. It's something that you really have to have in you to be a teacher. Well, I prefer, some teachers will do a formal diagnostic test. I prefer an informal diagnostic test where I'm just feeling them out. And I prefer to feel people out in a kind of an informal way, and I'm feeling them out on the emotional level as well as the academic level. And I try to keep it relaxed because they're going to have a lot of anxiety. All the time, but especially that first day. So I try to chill them out, and we just have a conversation. I say, "Hey, do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do that? And what did you do last?" And all of that. And that's sort of a point of departure. It might be tweaked afterwards. It probably will be, but that's where I start from. What type of person are they? Do they need to be pushed? Do they need to be just massaged a bit so they can relax and learn a bit? Have they been a long time out of school, or did they have trouble in school and they just came from youth sector and had trouble there? See what type of person they are. Well, first of all, they come with their own wealth of experience. Even if they're fairly young, they've had time to have quite a bit of experience, and so they know things that we don't know. Also, now if they're older adults, they would have forgotten probably most of what they ever learned in school, and they'll be more disciplined. They'll be harder working. They'll be very goal oriented. But at first, it's going to go very slowly. The neurons aren't firing well. They got to get those synapses used to the material, used to academic functioning. And you could also have somebody with a learning disability that's fresh out of high school, and that would be a different story. We have to work with them differently. But in every case, I don't think there's as much discipline going on. It's all around learning, and it's just feeling out what type of learner you're with. Well, it's math, but the most common obstacle is poor reading. Especially, you're probably aware of the new curriculum where the emphasis is more and more towards competency based. Competency based means complex reading, and that's tough for people who don't have those reading skills, and we have to work on those, even though it's a math class, to at least identify the math words and the relevant information and get rid of the useless information and all of that. In the beginning, what I like to do is they've got a complex task in front of them, and I dumb it down for them, make it very simplified. Say, see, that was That was not so bad, really. Huh? You had all those skills. It just looked a bit complicated at first, and I like to do a couple of those. Have to be careful doing that because you can you don't want to spoon feed them because they're going to have to become self-sufficient to be able to do that. But it helps relieve that initial anxiety of encountering those type of problems. Of course, I guess we haven't brought this up yet, but some people, their basic numeracy skills are so lacking that you have to work on those. And if somebody's reaching for their calculator when it's 2 times 3, you got to put a stop to that, and they're going to have to learn, say, the times table to 1 digit, and we don't force it on them all at once. If I have somebody like that, I'd say let's master the twos table. Come back tomorrow and you know the twos table up to 6 or something, and then you kind of piecemeal it, but you got to get them those basic skills. It's necessary before you go further, and the truth is, beginning math, numeracy, the goal isn't really to get your high school diploma. It's to not get ripped off, to be able to function in the financial world, just the small financial world. How much change are you going to get? And then if it's something with credit, oh boy, if there's interest involved, if it's a car, then they need a lot more. But that would be the beginning goal so that they can function like that. Afterwards, concentrate on taking them a little further towards a high school diploma and requirements to further education. Normally, I would give them homework that wouldn't be new knowledge. It would be something that they've already been working on. We've gone through it. They seem to get the concept, although they might need more practice. And that would be typically the kind of homework I would want them to do. Another thing, though, I have to say is that in the adult world, everybody's got their own situation, and this adult may be coming home to 3 or 4 kids and have a job, and it's impossible to do any homework. We can't demand homework the way you can of somebody who's perhaps 13 years old. Even people who aren't in that situation, they may well need to work 20, 30 hours to support their phone and their other aspects of their life. Just everybody's got their own situation. We have to be easy on homework, and those that can handle it, we give it to them. Those that can't, we're easy on them. Really know your subject, and I mean, that sounds pretty obvious and trivial, but because anybody that would be teaching math to adults would know math. They would know it generally, though, and that adult might be in school somewhere and have a text with an approach that's a bit different than the teacher learned, and the teacher needs to familiarize themselves with their text. They can show them their little tricks that they learned, but they have to be able to tie it in with the text the person's in. So they got to do a little homework themselves to prepare themselves for that. Also, I kind of encourage people to take the time to get to know the person. And I've said that before, and I don't mean try to be their friend. They might not be interested, and it's a professional relationship. You want to keep it that way, but you need to develop a rapport. If you don't have any rapport with them at all, the learning is probably not going to go very fast. So you really need to take a little time for that to